want to talk to you about this morning is strategic planning and uncertainty. We want to talk a bit about what is uncertainty, how do we define it, what's the source of uncertainty, and how do you take advantage of it. I think in this environment, we've certainly seen our fair share of uncertainty in the last year, and a lot of people have been asking me in the last week, with this topic coming up, are we really in uncertain times? So there's lots of sources of uncertainty. I want to talk a bit about them in terms of four broad categories. The first one is your business crisis, and you've mentioned some of these. These tend to be crises that are specific to your business, not shared by your competitors, not shared by your industry, not shared by the economy. They're generally of your own doing, or at least of your own. Then you also have industry crisis. What happens if the industry itself as a whole is going through some significant change, structural change? The classic story of the buggy whip. You don't see a lot of buggy whip manufacturers anymore, but that's a crisis to an industry. Then you get into environmental crisis. Things that are happening beyond just your industry. Economic downturns, liquidity crisis. You run into issues like currencies and political instability. Governments can talk about your specific industry, and then you can have a crisis within government itself. We tend not to see a lot of those in this country, but certainly there are countries around the world that see this to great extent. The Asian currency crisis back in 2001 was a good example. Then you have event crisis. So this is probably the only category I'm really not going to talk a lot about today, but it tends to do with the acts of God, the fire, the earthquake, the terrorism. These all create crisis. I mean, the best example this recently has been Chapman's Ice Cream, going through a very difficult time right now because their only factory had burned down. This is a crisis for them. It creates huge amounts of uncertainty and a huge challenge for their business. What's step one? Some of you were taking notes. What's step one?
Take ownership.
Take ownership. Right. I want you to take ownership. It may not have been your doing that caused the problem, but you are going to solve it. Right? What's step two?
Challenge your business model.
Challenge your business model. I want you to really look hard at your business and figure out where it's gone wrong. What's happened? Right? What's step three? Communicate. Tell people what's happening. Tell people what's happening both in terms of what went wrong and what you're going to do about it. I won't ask you any more steps. That's pretty good. You're doing well. Implement your plan. Right? You want to make sure that you have a process to implement it, a process to follow up, a process to track it. Right? Step 5 is you want to make sure you lead by example. Get out there, be visible, make sure you're getting out ahead of the pack and you're leading the charge. All right? And step 6 is go on the offensive. If you do all this, go out there and be aggressive. Take advantage of this, go after your competition, and grow your market share. Thank you very much, and good luck.